All right. I'm with Tommy Breedlove. Tommy, thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, of course, Everett. Look forward to from Atlanta, Georgia to Dover,
To
Delaware. Here we
Dover,
are, brother.
Delaware. Right. I read your book twice. I got 1,000 questions to ask you. Some good stuff in there. I'll tell you right off the bat. I have read a lot of books. I've watched a lot of videos. I have never pulled a phrase from a book that I have repeated as often as I have from the one from yours. And I want to get into that, but I want to let you introduce yourself. And that is, your net worth is your network. And I just think that's genius. And I've repeated that probably a couple dozen times. But I want to start with letting you have 5 minutes to give the Tommy Breedlove overview about who you are and where you came from.
Yeah, man. I appreciate that. I can't wait to dive in on that subject. So yeah, I'm Tommy Breedlove. I'm a USA Today and Wall Street Journal bestselling author of the book Legendary. I'm very, very proud of it, which is hard for me to say because I'm a recovering perfectionist. And so to say I'm actually really proud of the work and its commercial success has been great. And real quick story is I grew up in the south side of Atlanta, good, humble blue collar beginnings. And I was scheduled to be the first person to go to college in my family, and grew up in and around violence and abuse around me. And unfortunately, instead of being the first person to go to college, I had a full ride to Georgia, a half a ride to University of Miami, and a few other colleges. I became that violence I hated, and I committed a violent crime at 18 years old and looking at 7 years in prison. And luckily, it was a first offense. They dropped it down to heavy misdemeanors, and spent my 19th birthday incarcerated. Male mentor, African-American male mentor appeared in my life, which is remarkable because people don't cross racial lines very often, and helped me to believe in myself a little more than I did. And with his mentorship and holding me accountable, I was able to break some pretty bad habits. Went to work at a nuclear waste container factory at night, community college at night, nuclear waste container factory during the day, ended up at UGA. And from UGA, ended up at Deloitte, which is a big public accounting and financial consulting firm. So I literally went from a jail cell to Deloitte in 3 years. So it's pretty remarkable. And so, I just started out working everybody. And I thought the more money I make, the fancier my suit was, the corner office, all the shiny things that we think is important, success and money, we think that that's going to make us happy. And then the truth is, I was 36 years old, had the corner office, had the fancy suit, had all the shiny things, making a lot of money, and I was miserable. And when the money and power didn't fulfill me up, I turned to all the bad things in life. And it almost cost me my firm, my wife, and my life at 36 years old. And I've had two major transformations in my life, one being jail, second one being that. Found myself, woke up in a ditch somewhere in downtown Atlanta, probably doing some multi-million-dollar audit or M&A deal the week before, and said enough is enough, and went on this journey of self-exploration, working on my mental muscles, my emotional muscles, my spiritual muscles, and physical muscles. And at that time, I just saw all of these amazing changes in my life. And from my network to my money to my career, I went from junior partner to senior partner to international practice leader to elected to the board of directors of this large financial firm at 39. And everybody else was in their 60s. And it was just by being a good man. It was just by living with integrity, believing in myself, and not giving away to what others thought. And at that time, I just found myself not fulfilled and didn't want to do that work anymore. And all of these entrepreneurs, corporate executives, young men, old men, people who really wanted to make big changes and big choices in their life, or just started reaching out to me asking for help because they saw this major transformation that I went into. And so I was basically this, coaching people, running retreats, running masterminds, and writing a book fell in my lap. I never in a million years thought I would be doing this for a living. It's the most fulfilling thing I've ever done. And I don't change anyone. I just help bring the best out of them, self-confidence, self-respect, more money, more time, and just help them to be their best versions of themselves. And I think, books like Legendary and this movement, I think they're necessities during these times and not luxuries. And I think people want to be more happy. They want to be more successful. They want to have more time. They want to have purpose in their life, and they want better networks, and they want more intimate relationships with their family and friends. And that's everything that I stand for, brother. And so I'm blessed to be here. I'm humbled to be here. I'm grateful that this thing has taken off, and I'm grateful to help people for a living now, man. It's a lot different than the 20 years I spent in financial consulting. So that's a little bit about me, man.
Yeah. And when you walked in to give your notice, when you first made that decision and you walked in, the person that you gave it to, first of all, they thought you were joking.
Yeah, they laughed.
And then they said, you're an idiot.
He was on the phone. He wouldn't even hang up the phone, and he laughed. He goes, "Get out of my office, man." He was one of my fellow partners and board members. And I was like, "No, man, I'm being serious. And it was on Valentine's Day. I remember the exact day. And my wife is like, "Really?" And you can't just quit when you own a part of the firm. I was an owner of the firm. But he ended up clearing his whole morning, and we talked for hours. And yeah, he called me an idiot, said I was, dangled the carrot in front of me. You're going to be the most successful, because I was young. You're going to be the most financially successful partner we've ever had, blah, blah, blah. And, they didn't understand it. Once you're a partner and a board member, they think you're married to them. And I just wasn't fulfilled by it, didn't love the career. And it took some courage, though, man, to walk away from, 60% of our household income, and my financial security was set the rest of my life. And so, it took a lot of courage to walk away at the top of the game. Man.
Yeah.
I've never looked back, though.
Not only the courage to do it, but the courage to, after that morning of basically the guy you're working with saying, look, here are the 54 reasons that this is stupid, and to not break down and to not, you take care of your family. Hey, maybe I'll do this in a year. Maybe I'll do this in 2 years. Maybe I'll go part-time. And were you ever tempted to do some of that?
No, never. I was done.
All or nothing.
I was done. And I had done so much great work with, I'm in the coaching business, but I have a coach. I always have someone to help make me better. And I had great coaches. I had great friends. I had a full support from my wife, great mentors in my life. And the truth is I didn't want to live life on their terms. I went into that career with fear way back when. And I knew if I didn't leave and go do something on my own, build my own company under my integrity and under my vision, that I would look back with regrets. And, 8 digits in my bank account was certain. It wasn't if that was going to happen. It was going to happen if I would have stayed. And they didn't have enough money to buy my soul. I just didn't like the work. I didn't like things about it. And I just wanted to go find me and do something in my vision. And I wanted to get in the arena. I wanted to look back without regrets. And that's the reason I left.
What would you have done if your wife said, look, I'm really scared. I know you're in pain. I know you want to go do this, but can we do it part-time? How would you have handled that?
Well,
that's rare that she was 100% behind you.
Well, we would have that would have been a bigger conversation then.
Right.
Because I'm a firm believer in, I think one of the things that makes us great is, what I really appreciate her is, and I believe this deep down into my DNA and core, what I'm about to tell you. If a lot of people struggle in their relationships with their significant other, when I went through my major transformation and decided to find out who I was, where I was going, and who was coming with me, she did the exact same thing. And so she went to the same coaches and mentors and programs I went through to better herself. And so we were rising together. And once you start climbing that mountain, your view changes, your self-belief change. And so she firmly believed there was nothing we couldn't do and nothing we couldn't do together, because she had done the deep work like me. The emotional stability, the mental stability, self-confidence and belief in ourselves. And we, if we looked back at it, if we put our mind to it and took action and took continued action, not quit, we've been successful at everything we've been at. So if she would have questioned, I would have had to question us and our relationship, because you want to, I believe for any relationship to work, is you have to do the deep work and get better yourself. They have to do the deep work, and then you have to do the work together. And we did the work together. And she knew that this was a higher calling for me. She believed. Now, we didn't have any intention of writing books. We didn't have any intention of going into coaching. We didn't know what we were going to do. I just knew it wasn't going to be public accounting or financial consulting. And so, to have her unconditional support and belief, I think that's key to any major change, transformation, or pivot in life. And I'm just thankful that she had it.
It's, I want to bounce from there. You mentioned that you had, you had this group of people that you were supporting on, you had a coach, you had all this. And I want to go to that phrase that I just love: your net worth is your network. And I since reading that, I've been very cognizant of that. I've been trying to build up this network of people. I just think you can't say enough about that. That's probably, and I don't mean to puff you up because I've read a lot of these books. I've never seen a nugget of simplistic brilliance like that. That's just, it just says it all.
I really appreciate that, man. And here's the deal about my network. When I resigned, I was I had all these titles: international practice leader, board member, blah, 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 senior partner. And when I resigned, I would say half of my network of lawyers, bankers, executives, entrepreneurs, they left. They thought I was an idiot. I thought
Right.
they thought I was going through some major, and they didn't understand it. They only stood their small box of a world. Fast forward 8 years later, and these people would pay anything to have a look behind the curtain at my network.
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe, you've read it a million times. You are the 5 people you spend the most time with. And that is absolutely fact. And for me, I have to be around people. I have 2 rules. Do you make me happy or do you make me better?
Mm-hmm.
And I have these 8 men that I lean onto. We call the Great 8. I've talked to 2 of them today already.
Mm-hmm.
But accountability, love, kick me in the face when I need to be kicked in the face, going in the same direction. I have the same life dreams and goals and aspirations and want to make great impact. The sky's the limit. They have unconditional belief in me and vice versa. And so I'm very protective of my network. I'm very appreciative of my network. But to me, your network is what will build you in life. It's what will build you in your relationships. And ultimately, it's what will build your happiness, success, and money. And to me, it is the most important thing than anything. And that's why I protect it like it's gold.
Yeah, and the to show that, when I first reached out to you, you put me in touch with Jonathan, and Jonathan and I talked, and that wasn't a he wasn't guarding the castle. He was just trying to see if what I'm trying to do aligns with what you're trying to do. And we talked a couple of times, and then when that did, then we got through. And that just makes so much sense. It wasn't a gatekeeper. It was just, and you weren't looking at some of the obvious thing where brand new platform, not a lot of people, but you just wanted to
I
see,
love it.
yeah, if the direction was the same direction. And then once it was, so that just underlines that you practice that.
Oh, and the thing, I think, it's a tough thing writing a book like that you have to practice what you preach, right?
Mhm.
When you write, when you put something out in the world, it's one of the things my network does is hold me accountable to those core values. And I'm not always successful, actually. One of my things is we show up, and I didn't show up to a meeting last year, and I have been beating
Mhm.
myself up to it ever since. And I didn't want to show up. It wasn't a hell yes for me. And I should have just said no. And so making sure that people are in line with you, that they have the same values as it, that they're going in the same direction. And I don't care where they are in life for success. I just want to know, do they want to make impact? Are they going in the same direction? And are they living with high integrity and high intentions? And I don't care where you are on the social ladder from there. If you meet those requirements, I'm all in, man.
Mhm. Yeah, and so you mentioned hell yes. So let's talk about that. So you talk about some of the things that you have to get to, and one is you got to learn to say no. And that's so hard for some of us because we don't want to be rude. We just want to, we don't want to, we can't say no. But there's so many hours in the day, and there's so many things that we need to be doing. And then you go even further. So it's not just a no or a yes, it's a no or a hell yes.
Yep.
So, the gap is gone. It's either I don't want to do this, or I can't, this is so important, I want to do that.
And some people think that me and members of my network and some of my friends, that we're quote rude, or we're not, we're the most giving people you've ever met.
Mm.
But like you said, there's only 24 hours in a day, and time is our most precious asset by far, way more than money.
Hmm.
And it is depreciating second by second. And this life is just one long goodbye, really. And so for me, especially as it relates to people, if they are not a hell yes, they are a no.
Mm.
And instantly in your heart, gut, and soul, if someone picks up the phone and you don't pick it up, or you don't want to text back, or someone walks in the room and the energy is literally sucked out of it, that's a no. And when it comes to your time and having coffee or meeting people or dining or networking or hanging out, it's got to be a hell yes.
Yeah.
They've got to be going in the same direction I'm going. They got to make me happy, and they've got to make me better. And so it's just critical for our happiness, for our fulfillment, for our peace of mind, and ultimately for our success. And I learned that years ago at a conference. If it's not a hell yes, it's not. I don't even know who came up with that first. And so many people claim it. It's not mine. But
Mhm.
the first time I heard it, I was like, wow. And I applied that. I've probably applied it now. I can't do it 100%. Family's the hard one. That's a hard
Right.
one. But I would say 90% of the time. And you know what? We have a spreadsheet for it. Like
Get out.
I've got Patty and Lindsay on my team, and I'll come back and say that meeting was not a hell yes. And then we'll go through it. Was like, why, was it going in? What did we not see? And we hold ourselves accountable to that. Relationships, friendships, network, business, clients. And one of the most flattering things to do and refreshing things to do is if a client becomes a no or not even a hell yes, it's not a good fit. And so it's
Mhm.
refreshing. One no is worth 1,000 yeses. And
Mm.
so no is you do want to say yes to the right things, but no is so much more powerful. And by the way, people pleasing and not trying to hurt other people's feelings is exhausting.
Right.
And most people are takers and not givers. And one of the reasons we implement all of these strategies with our network, if it's a hell yes or no, is so that we just don't get taken advantage of, because there's so many takers out there. I want people who give and give unconditionally and keep giving. And so it's really important from a boundary standpoint. And if you want to be happy, learn how to say no.
Right. Right. And what's funny is you look at the characteristics of someone that doesn't like themselves or doesn't like themselves a lot, and that's up there. They can't say no. They're apologizing all the time. Lying is a big one. I mean, these traits are just, it's not about me, it's about how you see me. But
Yep.
you just mentioned, people that just suck the energy out of the room. And you in the book you mentioned energy vampires.
Yep.
So how can you tell? I mean, I know exactly the person that you're talking about, but how do you tell faster? How do you, man, I wish I knew 8 meetings ago that this guy was an energy vampire. Are there ways to put them in a box faster than that?
Absolutely. The first thing is, have they offered to serve or help you in any way?
Mm,
Is it all about the me monsters? Me, 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 me. And when that doesn't work, let's talk about me some more. And
right.
or are they really listening to you, how to help you? Have they followed through with their word? Did they show up? Or was it all about them and how you could help them? And one of the rookiest moves in the world is saying, may I pick your brain? And basically that's just someone else asking to use you for their own benefit. It's better to, like, I know immediately if they're, how can they help me? Interested in what I do, looking in my eyes, and it's not just all about them. And here's another thing. If they're constantly, especially in a professional setting, looking over your shoulder or really not
Mm,
listening to what you say, or they're just thinking about their next target and conquest, I just walk away. I'll literally walk away. I have no patience for that. And so are they listening? Are they asking to help you? Are they truly there? Are they somewhere else? And people have bad days, by the way. I'm not one of these one and done people, unless you're just a complete ass. But make them earn your time, make them earn your respect, and make them earn your trust. And don't be a people pleaser. Don't go in unconditionally trusting, because unfortunately, hurt people hurt people. And about
mm,
99% of the world is hurting in some way because they don't do the deep work. The 1% are the 1% because we do the deep work. We
right.
work on our heart muscles, our mind muscles, our spirit muscles, and our physical muscles. That's literally all we do different than everybody else. We stand
Mhm.
with our head up and our shoulders back. And we have self-respect, self-confidence, and unconditional love so that we can love and serve others better. And that takes a lot of time. We'll never get there fully, but we're constantly working at it. And so pretty quickly, and once you've been hurt 100 times, you learn quickly what the traits are, the people who hurt you.
Yeah, yeah, you can pick it up. I think one of the things from your book, and I picked this up the first time, is you mentioned this, and you mentioned that when you meet someone whose network is higher than yours or is more plugged in a certain area than yours, you immediately go, "Hey, I'm really impressed with this," and who do I know? So you're not saying who do you know, and when I read it, I'm thinking about this interview, and I know nobody. But I'm going, who do I know that I can give to Tommy Breedlove? Because it makes so much sense. Instead of saying, can you connect me to these 4 people? You're going, hey, I know these 2 amazing, and I only have 2. I have these 2 amazing people that I
Two's
think,
better than zero.
yeah, that I would love to put you in touch with, because I think you guys would connect. But once you do that, it stops being about you. It stops being about you can help me. And now I'm excited about these 2 people to see if you guys can connect.
My
But I
best
wouldn't have
friend.
seen that if I didn't go through the mental process of it.
Totally. And my best friend says that even if you have 0 people that you want to connect someone with, you do have a currency. All of us have a currency, and all of us have a zone of brilliance that we can help another human out. And let's say you're just an up and coming person, or you don't have any network, or you're just getting started on your self development or professional career, whatever it might be. If you just show up to somebody and ask, how can I help? Is it, can I serve you coffee during the day and just absorb? Can I just run errands for you? You know what I'm saying? And make your life a little bit better and easier. And by the way, I'm going to learn from you along the way too.
Right,
Right.
right,
And
right.
so there's so many ways for people. And there's 1,000 different great stories about that, is, helping, serving someone, and sometimes it could be with a simple smile. Like, you don't have to know them or need something from them, but serving people with a smile, a gesture, an act of service, spending time with them, holding space with them, offering to connect them with someone that's trusted network. It's a really big deal. And that's how it's ancient wisdom is ancient wisdom. There's a reason certain books have lasted thousands of years,
Hmm.
from Buddhism to Christianity to Islam. I mean, there's and they all say the same thing. So you sow, so you reap. And if you give, you will get. And I'm telling you, if you just keep giving time, money, energy, service, how can I help you? It comes back to you 10x. And that, I
Yeah.
mean, I've experienced that tenfold in my life.
Yeah, and that's and like I said, it's until you go through the mental steps. I thought that was, I knew there was wisdom in there, but I didn't really see until I started to go through it and started to plan that. Now, you spend a lot of time talking about forgiveness, forgiving yourself. The one thing I loved about the book is there are thousands, probably millions of books that talk about fear. They talk about fear. Yours is the first one I've seen that talks about shame, and that is just genius, because a lot of it is not, it's not I'm afraid to do this, but I'm so shameful that this happened and I've never really dealt with it. And you talk about going to people that you've hurt, and what's fascinating is I was talking to a friend just last week about this, and he said, yeah, I went to this guy that this happened 8 years ago, and it was just eating me up, and I went to him and I said, I am so sorry this happened. I am really sorry this happened. This has been eating me up. Will you forgive me? And he goes, well, you're forgiven, but I don't even remember it.
Powerful. That's exactly what happened to me, by the way.
Because I thought that was in the book too. Was it in the book, or was that in
So powerful. Let me tell you what happened to me. Same thing. So I had this list that looked like a War and Peace Tolstoy novel of people that I thought I had really hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I was super, super hard on myself back then. And we all are hard on ourselves in some way, right? We're not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart
Yep.
enough. I'm not blah, 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 blah. 9 out of the 10 people on that list who were living would meet with me. 8 out of 10 didn't even remember what I was talking about and were just happy to have a cup of coffee with me if they would meet me in person. The one that did remember is like, we were young and stupid and had fun. Who cares? Move on,
Right.
And so people are nicer and more forgiving. The toughest part is forgiving ourselves and shutting up that noise inside of our head that says, I'm not enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. What if they knew my deepest, darkest desires? What if they knew I didn't know what I'm doing? What if I am not enough? And you care if I go into shame a little bit?
No.
Forgiveness is one of the most powerful things, but we have to forgive ourselves.
Yep.
And so guilt is, Everett, I come and punch you. Well, that's outside of my integrity zone, and I am guilty of hurting you, and you and society want to hold me accountable because I am guilty of that action. So guilt is normally true. Shame is a lie. Guilt is I've done something bad. Shame is I am bad.
Mm.
And shame is taught to us unconsciously and sometimes consciously by society, teachers, culture, social media is I am bad. I am not enough. I am not worthy. I am not valuable, and I am not lovable. And it comes in horrific degrees all the way to not so horrific degrees, but we all carry this load of shame. And that's what holds us back, is putting the power in the shame that this, I am not enough in some way. And there's no, and for guys like me who have made so many mistakes in my life, who were eat up in shame and insecurity and fear, I'm telling you, Everett, if I can do this, anybody can do it, brother.
Yeah.
And so it's just and nothing can, any wiring we have that I'm not smart enough, I'm not cute enough, I'm not skinny enough, I'll never be able to make that amount of money, I'll never get into that firm, I'll never meet that person. That is all untrue. But we have to do the deep work and unwire those messages that are false. We got to unwire our heart, unwire our mind, unwire our soul, and start putting goodness in. If we put garbage into our bodies all day long, and that could be social media, news, whatever it might be, garbage comes out. But if we put goodness, inspiration, knowledge, wisdom, and we do the work, intention and action, action and intention. And intention without action is worthless, and action without intention is worthless. So if we do the inner work and then we apply those things to our life, we will be happier. We will have more time. We will be more successful. We'll have more money. And by God, we'll end up learning to like each other. And so, like ourselves, right? If we don't like ourselves, others won't like us either. And anything can be
Right.
unwired, brother.
Right. Yeah. And the funny thing about that too is if you've got, and I've noticed with me, if you've got shame in this area over here, it pops out over here. So I did this thing that I'm very shameful for, and I can't get over it. But I just had success over here, and it's almost painful. It's almost like I don't deserve this. This
Yep.
was a mistake. This was everything. Don't talk about it because of this way over here.
That's more common than not, by the way. And I
Is
think
it?
the first key to all of this work is, especially where everybody's Facebook fabulous, Instagram fabulous, and all this other nonsense, and we put our best selves out there, is knowing we're not alone, that we've all made mistakes, that we all have insecurities, that we all have fears, and we need to lighten up on ourselves. We still got to do the work. You got to do the deep work, the inner game. You got to work on those heart and mind muscles so that when that voice comes up, and we've named my voice, we call him Ike. When Ike pops up, starts kicking me to death, and I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, there's better people out, blah, 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 all that untrue nonsense, is that we have the tool in our toolbox to help mitigate that noise and to move forward with self-confidence and self-love. Your network helps with that. Being honest and vulnerable with the right, safe network helps with that. Having great coaches, constantly reading great books. There's all these tools in your toolbox to help you overcome that, quote, shame. And the key also is to know that we're not alone, that we all carry it, and that we're all on this thing of struggling. And, life is so preciously short. Why not live it happy? Why not do the work to make ourselves happy and fulfilled? And so I'll get off my soapbox, but I'm really passionate about this subject.
No, and it makes so much sense. And what's funny is the people who feel, and this is my theory, so you can correct me. It seems that the people who feel the shame don't really have that much shame to feel, but yet the people that probably should never do. I mean, a perfect example, I told this story before. I worked for a small company, and we had a great boss. He was just a wonderful guy. And there was one guy that was this guy was just insane. I mean, he was always causing problems. He was always doing this. And instead of grabbing this guy, Bill, and saying, Bill, you got to stop A, B, and C. You just got to stop that. He was such a sweet guy. He would bring us all into the conference room, and Bill would be in the front, and all 20, 30 of us. And he goes, look, all of us have issues with A, B, and C. So Bill would turn around and go, yeah, you guys, you need to stop that, when we all knew it was him. So I think the people that naturally deflect that, it comes across completely differently.
Well, arrogance and entitlement, and that deep down inside, he knows that. And deep down inside, that is a scared, hurt little boy, like all of us.
Really?
That is a 12-year-old begging to be seen, heard, loved, and valued. And that is a survival mechanism for that particular person. Now, I'm not saying that in business that we need to put up with that behavior, because he could sink the whole ship. He could literally sink the whole ship. But the truth is about that man is he is very insecure, very scared, and all of those negative behaviors come out in that way. That doesn't excuse it and doesn't hold him accountable for it. And if it sinks the business, he's got to go. But what we don't want to do is we got to be careful. It's harder said than done, is see it for what it is, be compassionate about it, hold him accountable for it. And it's up to him to fix that behavior. It's not up to the company to fix it. It's up to him. And the only thing is, your boss might've been a great guy, but letting one cancer like that sit around and destroy the company, that's on your boss too. Right. So there's a whole stew there to go through, but at the end of the day, I promise you, hurt people, and he's hurt. And he's hurting.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it, and it sort of filters out any of this anger, because you sort of feel sorry for the guy. I mean, it doesn't excuse it, like you said.
Totally.
There's some great phrases in the book, and one of my favorite is, you need to participate in your own rescue. That's just genius.
You know where I heard that, man? I heard that from a river rafting guide. And we were about to go down a very, very dangerous river called the Gauley in West Virginia. And it's got five plus rapids on it. And that's river speak for super dangerous. And I'll never forget that dude saying, participate in your own rescue. And what he meant is, if you fall out of the boat, you have to turn over, put your feet up, look for a rope. And if you can't get to a rope, start swimming. And you must participate in your own rescue, or there's a high chance that you will die.
Mm.
And when I heard that, I was like floored. I was like, what a great metaphor for life. There is no magic pill. No one's coming to save you. And it's totally up to you. And I love this. If you're unhappy or unsuccessful or unfulfilled, or think that something's missing in your life, go find the nearest mirror. That's the problem and the solution. It's the problem and the solution. And you must choose to participate in your own rescue. So if you're unhappy in relationships, do you need to get a counselor? Do you need to read a relationship book? Do you need to be more empathetic and compassionate? Where are your blind spots that you need to work on?
Mm-hmm.
If you're not financially confident, or you haven't got your financial house in order, what do you need to do? What skill do you have to learn? What do you have to do to correct this? Who do you have to start hanging out with? There's all billions of things, but here's the key. You must choose to participate in your own rescue. Because it's not the government's fault. That's victimhood. It's not your parents' fault. That's victimhood. It's, victimhood, martyrdom, and entitlement. Those are diseases, man.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to, no one's coming to fix it. The government's not going to fix it. A politician's not going to fix it. Your neighbor's not going to fix it. You've got to fix it. And you got to do the hard work, and you got to continue taking action to make yourself better than you were yesterday. And that requires the choice of participating in your own rescue.
That's great. And then another thing you were talking about, going on with the shame thing, you were talking about memories, but you talked about realizing which memories are real and which memories are not real.
Yeah.
That's amazing. How do you go through that process?
That's a great question. And, I even caveat it now by saying the way I remember it is
right.
Because, I'm not getting any younger, I'm staring, 40, I'm in my late 40s, and the way I remember it. And here's the thing too, what I've realized is, the first time I realized that, I was on this vision quest where I hadn't eaten in 4 days. I didn't have a tent. I didn't see a human for 4. I was in literally the mountains, and all of these fears and thoughts and insecurities and clouds and demons just started appearing in my head. And I'm like, which are true, which are not? And we tell ourselves these stories about our childhood, about the mistakes we made. And these stories become these mountainous things. And in reality, they were probably pretty small. And they probably were you just trying to figure it out and doing the best you could at that particular time. And I realized the stories that we tell ourselves aren't as true as what actually happens. And they become these mountainous things over the years. And we just got to quit. There's nothing we can do about the past. So what I've realized is that I can write the end of my story. I can't do anything about the past. And sometimes I can't remember what happened or what didn't happen. So what I've chosen to do is let it go, forgive, forget, and to keep moving forward. And I had someone tell me one time, there's a reason your front windshield is a whole lot bigger than your rearview mirror, because you're going forward.
Right.
And so for me, it's about letting go of the stories that we tell ourselves, the anger, all that stuff. That's probably not even true anyway. Think of it like this. Your friend said it best. And I experienced this too. When I went and I had told all these stories about all these horrible things I'd done to all these people. And when I went and asked for forgiveness, 90% of them were like, dude, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Right.
So we got to stop lying to ourselves. And that requires forgiving and forgetting and moving forward.
Right. And then the other part of that is when you go, yeah, but what about the people I don't think about that I did hurt? And then you can just tumble that snowball going.
Yeah, it's a spiral of shame, man.
You got to let that go. I don't know. This just popped in my head. I remember when I was about 10 years old, my cousin and I were climbing up a cliff, and he went up this way and I got stuck, and it was very scary. And he talked me through, and it took, forever. And we've been, as adults, we're going, oh, remember that cliff? Remember that? Well, I happened to go back about 10 years. It's about 12 feet high. But in my mind, it was just huge because that's how the memory was.
Everest.
Yeah, there were mountain goats, and there were lightning strikes and a
Spikes.
volcano on top and spikes.
Snipers.
There was
People shooting at you.
spears going at us. It was horrible. You don't understand.
We are so critically hard on ourselves, aren't we?
Oh, without a doubt. It's another thing. I want to bounce around you. What's interesting about you is, and I've just discovered this, is that there's a lot of the traditional method of getting a goal. And I want to put an asterisk here and come back to it, because the one thing about your book and your philosophy is the goal isn't the prize. It's the change in you that's the prize that gets there. But the traditional thing in goals is you claim, I will be blank by blank. And then you look at the obstacles, and then you come up with what are the benefits, and then you come up with a plan. This is the way we've been taught forever, and it goes, it takes us this way, and if we barrel through it, we'll get this way. Your philosophy and your approach is a little different. You claim this pie in the sky, huge thing that you want. You see it, and then you start to fill in the blanks of the things between it that have to happen. And what I like about that approach is it's malleable. So if I know that I need to get here, well, halfway is here, then I can do that. But the other way is I may try to get here and I may get there, but I'm going this way.
Yep.
And I've never seen that approach before.
Yeah, it's reverse engineering is what it is.
Right.
And here's the thing about goals too, is goals never look the way we think they're going to look. There's always twists and turns and changes, and that's okay. As long as we're moving is the key, right? And so if I say, I don't know, I want to make $100 million. Well, that seems massive. Or I want to cure cancer. Well, that seems really massive, right? But what can we, if you reverse engineer it back to 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, 1 quarter, 1 month, 1 day, really go through that process and get it down to what can I do today to begin that? What are 3 actions I can take today to start moving toward that goal? And whether or not you get to the goal or not is kind of irrelevant, because what will happen is, and I recommend setting this thing for your personal life, your professional life, your relationship life, as you have goals in all those, because sometimes they'll conflict. You got to watch that too, right? And so what we do is reverse engineer. I mean, everybody on our team does this, all of us, is what do we need to do today to get to this quarterly goal that meets this massive vision that we have? And so we literally reverse engineers our lives and our practice down to the daily actions that we can take to build to where we need to go, knowing that the goal might change. And here's the thing about goals. Let's say you hit $100 million. Well, guess what? You're going to want then $1 billion. So goals are kind of fleeting. They're never as good as we think they are when we get there. It's about enjoying the process, enjoying the journey, being present for the process, because life is short, and also reverse engineering so that you don't get overwhelmed. If we set too high goals for ourselves, we'll get overwhelmed, we'll shut down, we won't do anything. But if we simplify it back to what can I do today to get to this goal? And your 1 month goals are not near as big as what I call your North Star, your vision, right? Your vision is your biggest goal, right? But if you set it down to what I can do in 1 month to hopefully get to that vision, it's a much more powerful, much more tangible thing to do. But you got to have the right people around you to hold you accountable to that as well. And truthfully, about accountability, the only person that can really hold you accountability is you. And so I think it's hard for people to take away the conveniences. Instead of watching 4 hours of Netflix, maybe watch 30 minutes and then do some of this stuff. Instead of zoning out on social media, maybe spend an hour investing in yourself, your intelligence, your wisdom, your heart, your soul, whatever it might be. This is a lot easier than people think. The hard part is taking action, taking something negative away from your life and adding something positive in every single day. And I'm telling you, anyone can do this stuff, man.
Yeah, what's funny is I never thought of it. I just about a year ago, for my own personal thing, I said, you know what? I pretty much drink beer every day. I'm gonna take a year off. I'm not admitting I have a problem. I'm just gonna take a year off. And what happened is I've done that for like 3 months or 2 months, and I go, oh, I'm almost there. Once I said I'm taking a year off, I never craved it. I never wanted it because it's way over there. And it was just something so simple, because I'm going, oh, I don't have to cheat. I'm got 3 weeks to go. No, I got it. It was a year. And
Incredible.
it was amazing that we pushed it out. Yeah. But what the flip side of that, which you mentioned about goals is, if you said, I will lose 10 pounds in a month, and suddenly at 2 weeks, you're not doing it. You mentioned to double the time or split the goal. And just by doing that, because you're going to go, well, that was crap. That was ridiculous. I never should have tried that. But then you just pump it out a month. Oh, I can do this.
Baby wins. It's
Yeah.
winning. It's so that you see the results and that it's actual tangible and doable. And I learned that from a friend of mine, John Acuff. He's a great writer as himself. And when I read that, I was like, that is genius. Because so many of us get overwhelmed or frustrated, or we start getting hard on ourselves, and
Right.
the whole not good enoughs kick in. If you double the time and or half the goal, I mean, it's just remarkable. Or do both. What you're doing is you're making progress. And reverse engineer that. Well, if I'm not walking, maybe I need to walk 5 minutes a day. Well, 5 minutes will become 7 minutes, 7 minutes will become 10 minutes. And, it's a compounding interest thing. And if I had to really narrow it down to what makes the top 10% in life, the top 10%, I'm not talking about the people who were born with wealth, blah, blah, blah. That's just not, and trust me, I work with a lot of those people. They're not happy. And so really the key to life is not just taking that first step, but continuing taking steps every day to just be a little bit better, not coming in with a sword and transforming everything. Just take one small action per day. And I think if you take one negative thing out, i.e. maybe stop scrolling social media so much, and add one positive thing in, read a great book, read 5 pages of a great book, just doing those simple things every single day in 365 days, the compound interest that'll pay, which is a financial term, a dollar begets a dollar begets a dollar. Money makes money. I mean, I'm telling you, it's crazy how this life can be so much better than you think it would be. But you got to take action. You can't will it into existence. You have to move.
Yeah. Yeah. And to underline that, that just hit me between the eyes, because that's exactly what I did without even realizing it. So I stopped drinking this year, and all I did was walk my dog twice a day. That's it. I didn't go to the gym. I don't like the gym. I didn't do that stuff. I just walk my dog 2.5 miles in the morning, 2.5 miles in the night, and I'm pushing 50 pounds lost.
Oh
It took
my
a year.
gosh.
It took a year, almost a year, but who cares if it took a year?
That is the best thing I've heard. Well, it's an early week, but thank you for sharing that. And if you took nothing away from this conversation, whoever's listening, if you heard that, took action, took away a negative thing, stopped drinking, started walking his dog. And what better, is there anything better than walking your dog? I mean, is there really anything better than that?
Mm-mm.
And look at 50 pounds. Let me ask you this: happier, healthier, feel better, all the above, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, man.
And,
Great.
and you know what's funny is if you did it the other way, you go, I skipped the gym 3 times. I did this, I did, but the thing is, I like walking my dog, and it's great stuff. But I don't know a year ago that I would have seen it, but now a year later. And what's funny is you don't pay attention to the time. Being able to say, hey, I'm almost to 50 pounds is a lot easier than going, it took a whole year, because you're more focused on that.
But it started with the intention to stop drinking, the action of not drinking, and to getting out walking your dog.
Yep.
That was literally that. Those are 3 very doable things.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is if you beat this thing up a little bit, it's what are all the side effects too? So the drinking was just too many calories. It was bloated, but also the next day I was fuzzy. I just didn't think right. And it really didn't, I'm shocked I didn't miss it. I'm absolutely blown away that I didn't miss it. It's not like I go, oh, I'm going to almost to 12 months and then I'm buying the biggest keg of beer there ever. I didn't really miss it. And then I'm starting to question, what are those other habits that I do that I think I would miss that I really wouldn't miss?
That's right. That's right. And there's so many, we all have them. I have them. We all have our habits that we know immediately what they are. And the way I like to ask it is, what's the one thing that if you gave it up in your life would have a significant positive impact in your life? And 99 of 100 people know immediately what that one thing is.
Yeah.
Instantly. Well, that's where you need to go. And if you don't go there, that's your fear. And we need to go even further in that. Why are you choosing not to give up that thing that is destroying your life?
Right.
That's a big deal.
Now, one of the things that are the core, it's on your website, it's in the book, is this whole, and the word is movement, and I think it is a movement, is choose goodness. I mean, and this goes into, it's not just the goal, it's choose goodness. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I think this is a strong belief of mine, is that we like to think we have a lot of control and power in life, and we really have none. And so knowing that is a pretty powerful epiphany. But the only power we do have at the end of the day is our choices. And choices, attitude, and actions. And attitude and actions are choices, right?
Mm-hmm.
And every moment of every day, of every breath until your last breath, you have a choice. We don't live in North Korea. You have a choice. This is a very open, beautiful, free country, and most countries are, thank goodness. But in every moment of every day, of every breath is a choice. If we remember that, and we can either choose goodness or choose darkness. We can choose light or we can choose darkness. We can choose love or we can choose fear. We can choose anger or we can choose, us coming together. And so what choices, if you remember that you always have a choice, always, no matter what, you have a choice. And when you choose goodness more than you choose not, your life, your success, your happiness, your money, your relationships, your time will be so much more fulfilling, better, happy, abundant than if not. And so the Choose Goodness movement itself is about helping others realize that you can choose to live this life emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically healthy, which will lead to a happy, more successful, abundant life. And so it's just all about educating people on choices and how to make the right choices in their life so that they can live the life of their dreams.
And what's the filter? How do we go through and check if the decisions and the choices we're making are good ones, are in that goodness? How do we know?
Does it help me or help someone else?
Okay.
That's really the choice. And when I'm saying help you, like if helping you takes away from someone else, that's not goodness. It's more abundant than competitive. It's an attitude of there is enough money for all of us. We can all win here. And so as long as you're not harming someone else or taking away from someone else, does this choice make your life or someone else or something else better? That's the goodness part. As long as it doesn't hurt someone else, judge them, condemn them, take something away from them, or hurt them, or the planet, or community, or organization, or whatever it might be, that's goodness. And so it's important. And a lot of people think, there's certain religions out there that, in the quote name of love, have really hurt a lot of people with their anger, their judgment, their condemnation, their shame, and screw that. And so that's not goodness. That's fear, shame, and guilt. And I have zero time and tolerance for that. So the key criteria is, does it help yourself or someone else without hurting someone or something else or taking away from them? That's the criteria.
And you've used the example of money in the book a few times, and you explained that it makes so much sense, the difference between thinking there's a limited amount of money in the world, and if I make an extra $100, I'm taking it from you, as opposed to there's unlimited amount and we can all have it.
Oh, 100%. I believe that down to my core, because I lived 37 years of my life thinking the exact opposite. And I've spent the last 10 years living the other way in money, success, happiness. And here's the thing, if anyone, and I love this saying, if someone says that money's not important, run from them. They're broke.
Right.
And so what I believe is money is a magnifying glass. And if you're a really terrible person, it's going to magnify that terribleness. If you're an amazing person, it's going to bring it to light, and you're going to be able to make massive impact in this world. And so believing that there's not enough money in this world, or believing that money's only for those people and not us, and I come from very humble beginnings, or money is something out there. Money's just an energy. It's just a tool. It's not good or evil. There's enough of it there's trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in this world. And there's enough to go around for everybody. but you've got to build a money mindset. You got to know that there is enough in the world. You got to believe in yourself. And then you've got to take action to better what I call your money muscles, your knowledge, your wisdom, who you hang out with, how you save, how you invest, how you see debt. And, you constantly just build that. I'm a financial guy. I worked in the financial world for 20 years. So I was lucky to have some of the greatest training in the world around this. But anyone can do it. Anyone can learn it. But the first thing, it's this, here's the truth. I mean, that's why lottery winners, 99.9% of
Right.
them go broke.
Yep.
And, no one ever says the lottery is the best thing that ever happened to them. They actually say it's the worst. And so it's interesting because they don't have the money muscles, the money mindset. They get taken advantage of, and they just end up losing it all. Is because they haven't built those muscles. And so it's very, very important. And it's never too late to start. I've got guys in their 60s I work with. I got one 70-year-old I work with. It's never too late to work on whatever it is in your life that you need to work on to get better, and so that you leave this world without regrets. And so I'm a money person. But I believe deep down in my heart that everyone deserves money and anyone can have it. You just got to believe it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and using the money as a magnifying glass, that's just genius. And something popped in my head. I had a friend that said, I've known 3 people in my life that had Ferraris or Lamborghinis, and every single one is an a-hole.
I don't know if they're a-holes or not, but I promise you they're hurt.
Yeah.
If they're, let's say they have Ferraris and they're really kind people, good for them. And we would cheer them on, right? You've earned that Ferrari. But what happens is it goes back to this. And the reason they're asses is because they're little boys or girls wanting to be seen, heard, loved, valued. And then they realize that Ferrari didn't fill them up. And that's what we do as humans. There's so many things. We think money, career, titles, respect, cars, homes, vacation homes are going to fill us up. And our family and friends. Here's the sad truth is all of those can be taken away from us in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
Either on our own faults or not our own faults. And if that's taken away from you and that's where you get your value, you're standing on very shaky ground. But if you build a solid foundation of love, respect, confidence, compassion, and a service mindset, then all of those fancy things. And, here's the truth, man. I work with people in coaching and masterminds and group coaching at those retreats who are just getting started in life. And I've got clients that are worth 9 digits. I don't have any billionaires right now, but I have 9-digit people in my stable. And it's not about the things that make them happy. It's about setting goals and going toward those goals and the constant work, that what I call the inner game, working on the outer game. That's career and money and success and making impact. And then the inner game, right? The inner game of love and mastering your mindset and self-respect and intimate relationships with your network, friends, and family. And so those people who are truly happy are working on both, regardless of where they're standing on the social ladder. Now, don't get me wrong, experiencing life and having fun things and shiny things, but I'm telling you, I know people who own Ferraris. I know them. I good friends with a couple, and that car will not fulfill them at the end of the day.
Right.
It's the truth.
Yeah, and if you look at those guys, the guys that got caught with Ponzi schemes, and the guys that built millions and millions, and when you look, they had 12 Ferraris, they had 3 Rolls Royces because they were just trying to buy all that.
But they wanted to do it the wrong way, the darkness.
Right.
And from empires to people, it's not if it'll collapse, it's when. Whether it's a heart attack, whether it's death early, or getting busted for doing all the wrong things. It's not if, it's when. And what's the point of making all that money if you're just going to be dead or stressed out or have to carry on living with lack of integrity? It's not worth it to me at the end of the day.
Well, what's that old joke about you never see a gravestone that says, I wish I spent more time at the office?
No doubt. And they're never going to read your resume at your funeral.
Right.
They're going to remember what you said, what you did, how you made people feel, and what impact you made.
Yeah.
And that's to me what being legendary is, by the way. And that's why I titled the book that way. Is I'm no legend, and legendary is given to us by our society, culture, people. And you can either be a horrific legend or a great legend. And it has nothing to do with about money and power. It has to do with impact. It could be, you could be a legend in one person's life. You can be a legend in your family's life, your community's life, your business life. But to me, it is about a holistic approach of financial confidence, more time, more purpose, more bigger network, but also the important things: intimate relationships with family and friends, mastering our mindset, unconditional love, serving, and making this world a little bit better than we found it. And to me, that's what being legendary is.
And you're very open about that. I mean, you even say that you're not to the legendary status, but you're working on it.
Not even
And I think
close.
there was one person, there might have been one person in the book you said he might be there. Everyone else is just a constant move forward.
That's it. That's it. And you know, what's crazy is some people would probably tell you I'm legendary. Some would tell you I'm not. Some tell you I'm an ass. Some would tell you I'm a really nice person. It's all the above, right? It's whether we believe it or not. And see, I don't want to give myself that title. I want to make a difference in people's lives. I want to make a difference in my life. I want to leave this world better than I found it. It is about serving. And so that's why I love the word legendary, and I live it. And I think one thing that separates me from a lot of the people in this space too is I walk this journey every single day of my life.
Mm.
I have coaches, I have a psychologist, I am in a mastermind, I am tough on myself, I'm constantly setting goals, and I'm walking this journey. I'm no guru, I'm not a sage on the stage. This is not what it looks like to have it all figured out. I make mistakes. I hold myself accountable. I have my fears. I have my insecurities. And the beautiful thing about my job now is I get to talk in the mirror all day long and say, are you doing this, Tommy? Are you doing this? So I think people really appreciate that I'm walking this journey with them, that I'm not this mythical Jedi, Yoda, who's got it all figured out. Because I certainly do not have it all figured out.
Yeah, and that comes across. It comes across that on the book as well. And one of the other things that you say is when you're, and I'll make sure I get this right, when you're ready to hear it, is that when you're ready to hear it, the lesson will come?
Totally. And there's 1,000 different ways to say that. Is once you're ready and willing to hear it, the message is there, whatever you need. But there's got to be an openness. There's got to be a awareness, and awareness is a really, really powerful thing. Is once you become aware, you can't become unaware, and it can either turn into a nightmare of shame for you, or it can be a catalyst for goodness and catapulting you over. But the message is always here. You just got to be able to hear it. And I think a lot of people are just continuously doing the same thing over and over, and think that there's some magic pill or magic solution or something's coming to save them. And that's not true. You got to go do it yourself. And I think a lot of people are skeptical of the self-improvement, affirmation, self-development space, but yet their life is terrible. So why not open your mind and open your mind and heart and work on these things that these people are teaching, because they really do work. If what you're doing is not working, that's insanity, doing the same thing over and over.
Right.
Try something different, make a different choice, open your mind and heart. And I promise you the message is here. It's here for whoever's ready and willing to hear it.
Great stuff. I mean, we could go on for another hour, but I just want to thank you.
Do it again, brother. We can do it again.
I definitely want to do it again. Because I think we've just glanced over a lot of this stuff, but I think what you're doing is amazing.
Thank you.
I think the path is a very unique path, and I haven't seen that very much. And I want to thank you for making the time, and I want to thank you for giving us a lot of things to really think about.
It's an honor, and I'm very humbled to be here, Everett. And if you dug what we're saying, the book is in all the bookstores. So it's Audible, ebook, hardback, paperback. Go out to your bookstore, find it. It's a fun read. It's a simple read. There are small actionable steps that you can apply in your life on all the stuff we talked about. So go check it out, man. Go check out Legendary. And I'm just very grateful to be here, Everett.
And you know what? I'll give you 30 more seconds from the book that I liked, is when you were talking about creating these life purposes. You say, find what energizes you, find what you enjoy doing, and then find what the world needs.
Totally.
And
that's called purpose.
Yeah. And that's just so, because if you say find your purpose, that's overwhelming, but I can do those three things. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a simple purpose formula. And by the way, if you go to my website, I give that away. So on my website right now, if you go to tommybreedlove.com /gifts. That's GIFTS. I'm giving away the financial confidence and mindset and freedom chapters. I'm giving away the mastering your mindset chapters, and I'm giving away the purpose formula and my purpose and a whole bunch of other goodies. And so there's your good flavor right there. If you want to know a little bit more about what he's talking about, I give all that away. If you go to tommybreedlove.com /gifts, it's all there.
Perfect. And we'll put a link for the 7 people that'll be watching this.
Hey, I love it.
So,
Tommy, hey, 7 lives are 7 lives, brother.
That's right. Hey, thank you so much. I definitely want to take you up on doing it again, and thank you so much for doing this.